Have you ever heard of a famous resort hotel in Bali in Indonesia that took up millions of dollars in construction only to remain closed for the rest of its intended life? There are many megaprojects that are conceived with ambitious intentions, but some of them get abandoned for good just halfway through their useful life, usually squashing millions and sometimes billions of dollars. Some of these are well known all over the world, but some remain tucked away in a timeless book of shame. From an iconic hotel that was converted to a prestigious college to a luxury hotel built like a palace, but which was never open for a single day after its completion. Here are some of the most ambitious abandoned objects that really exist. Welcome back to Elite Projects. Forest Xena. Forest Xena was constructed in a forest in Germany to provide training spaces and temporary living quarters for soldiers. It is one of many such facilities scheduled for demolition by the German government over the years, although it remains standing to this day. The forest was built in 1934 during the early days of the Third Reich and was located an hour south of Berlin. It served as part of the country's rearmament program and operated as a Nazi military base during World War II. Forest Xena also consisted of numerous multi-story buildings, including training rooms, administration facilities, soldiers' barracks, and even a prison. Lager 3 and the Adolf Hitler Lager were the popular names used by Nazi Party for this base, and it became a training camp for artillery school Uterburg in 1935. In January 1988, an express train crashed into a Soviet tank on the tracks, and Forest Xena experienced one of the worst railway accidents to occur in the GDR. The Soviet army was at the receiving end of the blame, mainly because they used the area for tank training, and later in the 80s, the keys were given to the newly unified Germany after the fall of the Berlin Wall. Germany lost control of the facilities when many other military bases were condemned to demolition, including Forest Xena. Its demolition started in 2007 with plans to renature the area, but the process stopped after only a few buildings were knocked down and others were left to be taken over by forest vegetation. A large U-shaped technical building housing various bits of Soviet memorabilia remains at the site, together with a swimming pool and a football field with military material and Soviet murals. Kievs Autobus Park Number 7. The Autobus Park Number 7 in Kiev is the final resting place of disused vehicles that once ferried passengers throughout and beyond Ukraine's borders. Its construction began in 1973 with the intention of fitting the garage in the compact urban area to which it had been designated to maintain the several hundred buses that were to use it as a parking space. Its Soviet modernistic design was considered revolutionary, featuring a central support pillar and walls supported by steel cables. This resulted in a circular concrete and steel building that was held together by an 18-meter high pole and 180 cables capable of supporting 350 tons. The designers also used natural lighting to make it cost-effective and used concrete plates in the roof and fitted them with portholes, while glass cylinders were installed along the outer wall. The depot was an engineering marvel and turned out to be the largest vehicle depot within the Soviet Union. The Autobus Park Number 7 was praised for its design, which provided an enjoyable work environment for its 1,400 employees, and the circulatory system provided them with a place for the community to gather, over and above a working space. The Autobus Park Number 7 was also used as the base of operations for buses operating in Kiev, including city and intercity buses, with many driving through international routes to such locations as Belarus, Moldova, Germany, Russia, and Poland. With the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991, however, many of the Autobus Park Number 7's international routes were discontinued and service was gradually reduced. This caused a crisis in the Ukraine economy, which made it harder to repair the increasing old fleet of buses. The local buses were later reduced, with the depot officially shutting down in 2015. Efforts to turn the garage into a public transport museum did not bear any fruit because of the controversy surrounding the preservation of Soviet heritage within Ukraine. The Autobus Park Number 7 remains abandoned and considered one of Kiev's most problematic ruins, with the building only serving as an example of Soviet modernism during the communist era. Duga Radar. The Duga Radar was in operation from July 1976 to December 1989 in the Soviet Union with the purpose of providing warnings against missile attacks. Duga was an over-the-horizon radar system, and there were 2 operational Duga radars deployed, with one near Chernobyl and one near Chernihiv in what is presently Ukraine, and the other in eastern Siberia, or what we know in the present day as Russia. Nicknamed the Russian woodpecker because of its emissions, which had sharp, repetitive tapping noises during their emissions, the Duga system was powerful, reaching over 10 megawatts, and broadcasted in the shortwave radio bands. These tapping sounds often interrupted legitimate broadcasts and caused many complaints from owners of amateur radio operations, oceanic commercial aviation communications, and utility transmissions from different countries all over the world. As of 1989, the signals had become completely less frequent and disappeared in the beginning of 1990. The Duga systems were shut down right about the same year, although reasons were not made public. Some have speculated that the end of the Cold War in the 80s had a huge influence over this decision, with others attributing the shutdown to the success of the USKS early warning satellites. But these are only speculations and the truth may never be known. The huge steel bars that once represented the Duga system remain exposed to the harsh weather conditions, and more than 1,000 staff who lived in a top-secret city remain there to date. There is no doubt that the system will never be used again, but some reports have indicated that the structure might be demolished to make way for wind turbines. The demolition date, however, is still not known. Bennett College. Bennett College was once a prestigious private girls' school for the elite families in America, and the story of how it came down could leave you in tears. The college initially started off as a hotel known as the Halcyon Hall, which was designed by James E. Ware and built in 1893 by wealthy New York publisher H.J. Davison Jr. The Halcyon Hall Hotel remained iconic even after it was converted to Bennett College, and was an impressive 200-room structure that was 5 floors high with a basement and sub-basement. It also featured dark wood paneling and stone suggestive of the popular Queen Anne style. It was built in the affluent town of Millbrook, New York, with the intention of providing lodging for guests and to showcase a museum that Davison Jr. had stocked with books and worldly artifacts that he had collected over the years. He was greatly disappointed, however, when the hotel fell into debt and had to officially close its doors in 1901. The Halcyon Hall was bought by May F. Bennett, the founder of Irvington's Bennett School for Girls, in 1907, and it seemed like it got a second shot at being the iconic beauty it was intended to be. May F. Bennett claimed that the 22-acre lot was just the place she was looking for, and it would make perfect abode for her school, which had an enrollment of 120 and a faculty of 29. The school was transformed into a college, and Halcyon Hall was used as the campus's main building, boasting horse stables, a chapel, and an outdoor theater, on top of basic uses such as student dormitories, classrooms, and other facilities. Efforts to build the school were stifled by the demand for co-ed learning spaces and financial struggles during the late 1960s and early 1970s, and the school had to let in male students. This, of course, required more investment, including lots of upgrading to accommodate the new students, the construction of the new facilities. Thus, the school plunged into more debt. The school board was unable to secure more funding, and the Halcyon Hall quickly fell into ruin as there was no one to take care of it. The property was purchased by the Thorne Family LLC and the Millbrook Tribute Garden Foundation, despite public protest, with plans to develop a public park in its place. To this day, however, Halcyon Hall remains standing, and it looks dilapidated, to say the least. Amazing how ambitious projects can end up as a pile of old buildings and wasted construction material. Stick around to the end and be shocked even more by an abandoned hotel that was once considered as a hotel palace. As always, be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel and tap the bell icon so that YouTube will notify you each time we post a new video. Ghost Palace Hotel. About 50 kilometers north of Kuta Beach in Bali, Indonesia, is a luxury resort hotel high above the rice paddies, famously known as Ghost Palace Hotel. The hotel attracts many curious locals and tourists from all over the world who come to marvel at the stalling of what could have been the most beautiful hotel in Indonesia and beyond. The story behind its failure started when Tommy Soeharto, the youngest son of the second president of Indonesia, decided to build a resort hotel as one of his many real estate estate investments and chose a site just off the main road that leads to Duga Lake. The planning and construction of the hotel started and ended well, but before the hotel could open, Suharto was charged with corruption by the Indonesian Supreme Court. Later on, after ordering the assassination of a Supreme Court judge who had previously found him guilty of corruption and drug charges, he was arrested and imprisoned for several charges in July 2002. This caused all plans of the hotel to be halted and later abandoned altogether, and it remains a ghost hotel to this day, attracting all sorts of scary stories from the locals and former workers of the hotel. The property has a distinct, eerie look hidden in the mist, with vines and weeds reclaiming many of the buildings. However, it remains a popular tourist spot in Bali, and many tourists find their way to this abandoned ghost palace hotel. Which abandoned project shocked you the most? Let us know in the comment section below, and as you do, click on the next video and learn about the biggest mega projects in the Middle East. As always, be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel.